Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a very, very impromptu cooking stream. There's been some technical difficulties this morning, but I think we've got most of them hopefully figured out. I'm going to try to actually look at the camera. It's been an interesting morning. We have a little bit of time to actually work and do things today. I'm already starting to drink because it's been one of those mornings. Yeah, we're going to have a good time today. The viewers voted, the viewers decided. We're doing some pastry work today. Sort of. We're figuring it out. Very, very simple pastry today. Things that you can do in your own home pretty easily. Nothing expensive, nothing too crazy with ingredients. I mean, I guess eggs are expensive, but eggs are always expensive. Weird. But yeah, we're gonna do pretty simple pastry stuff today, and Joe, sort of French toast, sort of. I am making the stuff for French toast. I'm eating French toast for dinner. We'll see. Weird. My computer setup is all over the place right now. We rearranged the kitchen recently, and I didn't think about that when I was setting up for my cooking stream, and yeah, it's something all right. But we'll get it figured out here. The first thing we are going to be working on today, though, we are going to be making bread pudding. I personally love bread pudding. It's one of my favorite things to do, and you can use ingredients you have kind of laying around. My favorite thing to do with bread pudding is what we're going to be doing today as well, is we are going to be making bread pudding out of some old muffins. I don't know about you guys. Whenever I buy a pack of muffins at the store, I never eat all of them. There's always that one or two that sit there, they get too crunchy, they get too crispy, and you can't do anything with them. You're wrong. Especially you, Joe. You're always wrong. Oh, wait, no, you're not. Sorry. We are going to make bread pudding out of these lovely muffins. They're not as stale as I'd like them. Ideally, you want them to kind of get a few days old, be open, get a little crispy, crunchy. These have been sitting on my countertop for the last 16 hours or so. Just kind of getting a little crispy and crunchy, but nothing too bad. But bread pudding is extremely easy to make, guys. And why wouldn't you make it? The best part about bread pudding, if you make it right, you make it nice and firm, and so it's not falling apart entirely. You then take that bread pudding you made, you slice it, and you turn it into French toast. Your life will never be the same. Highly, highly recommend it. But yeah, we're going to start this morning with our bread pudding. Very, very simple, very easy stuff. First I got to get my ingredients, I guess. I guess that would make sense. So, again, ingredients for pretty much all the stuff we're going to be making today are pretty similar. You got your eggs. You got your cream. And then we need sugar, butter, a little bit of vanilla. Pretty simple stuff. We got our butter. We got some fresh strawberries for later for a couple other little things we're going to be doing. And we've got our sugar right here. I think that is all we need to start. Oh, and we need our baking dish. We definitely need our baking dish. Fantastic. Okay. We're going to try to do this in a way that works, sort of. We're in a little bit of a weird position. My camera setup is funky. Let's see if I can do this a little bit. Make that make sense. You're not going to be seeing my face as much today because the cameras don't like it today. Yeah. We've got our lovely baking dish here. Ratios are a little funky with bread pudding. I try it. It's a hard one. It really is. For muffins specifically, though, I usually do 2 eggs for every 4 muffins I do. Today we'll be doing 3 eggs then. just to keep it super, super simple. Go ahead and pop those in the bowl here. And again, for the same thing, you're going to be using about half a cup of milk for every 4 muffins. So in this case, we'll be using 3/4 of a cup of milk. Measuring cup here. But we're also going to be a little bit more fancy, and we are going to go with our heavy whipping cream. Because milk works, heavy whipping cream just gives you that brighter, richer flavor that you're going to want. Okay, there's our 3/4 cup of that. And then we're basically going to take our eggs here, whisking them in here with our cream, ideally without the eggshells in it. Okay, towel. Okay. Get our eggs nice and whisked together. I always try to beat my eggs first. Mix them so they get a little more air in them this way if you beat them first. And you want all that extra air in there so they can stay nice and light and fluffy. But I always tell the cooks I work with at work, beat your eggs until they double in size. For pretty much just anything. Whenever you're kind of whisking eggs, you're always going to want to get them until they kind of get nice, fluffy, airy. That works for just about everything, from making pastry to if you're making a mayonnaise at work or at home, making it from scratch with your eggs. Just beat them until they double in size. Mix in our heavy cream. Again, milk works just fine for this. I prefer heavy cream just because, you know, I'm trained as a French chef, so, you know, we have to do everything with tons of fat and butter and all that good stuff in there. Okay. Now, we're going to get a little bit of our sugar. We don't need a ton of sugar in this because our muffins already have a decent amount of sugar. Normally it'd be about 2 to 3 tablespoons for something like this. Oh, 1, 2. We'll go a little extra sweet because I know my daughter's going to be eating this. And she loves herself some sugar. Then you know what? Because I love it, again, don't usually put vanilla in it, but we're going to do some vanilla. French toast right there. I don't know about French toast, but eventually. Pretty close. So we won't be making French toast here on stream today, but we will be doing something similar to French toast later with this. We're going to be turning this into bread pudding French toast. But unfortunately, that's going to be later this evening once the bread toast is cool. The bread pudding is cooled and my daughter is hungry and happy. But will be absolutely delicious. We're going to take our batter here. We're going to pour it right into our baking dish. Get as much of that out of there as we can. And we're going to take our muffins. We're going to try to, if they're already crumbly and all that stuff, great. Otherwise, you can just kind of cut them. Just want these nice chunks of bread in there, and we're going to just get them into the bottom of our dish and really push them down once we get a couple more in here so that they absorb as much of this liquid as possible. That's partially why you want stale bread usually when you're doing bread pudding. That way it has more potential to absorb your liquid that you want in there. but if it's not completely stale, it is not the worst. We're just going to end up with an extra beautiful and rich bread pudding here. Today, so I found these lemon blueberry muffins at the store, and that's what we are using for this today. Because, yeah, lemon blueberry, it's going to make some delicious bread pudding for one. Of course, then it's also going to make some delicious French toast later when we do transform it. Go ahead and use all 6 of these muffins. In the background, I also have our oven preheating. I'm going to have it preheating at the 360, probably drop it down to 350, 345 when I actually put this in there. Just like it, get a little extra heat to start, and then we'll drop that down a little bit when we get a little closer to putting our bread pudding in. Bread pudding is going to be in the oven for about an hour once we do get it in there, so that's why I'm starting with it today. It's definitely the longer cooking period of all the things I'm making today. So yeah. Get that in and out of the way so it can actually cool a little bit, so you can see what it's going to look like then once we get it out of the oven. Again, we're just going to try to push these muffins down as much as possible into this batter. It's going to get nice and goopy, and it's not the most delicious looking until you bake it here, that is for sure. And it is kind of a mess. Wishing I remembered to grab my gloves, but that's okay. We've got our nice crumbly lemon blueberry muffin French toast here. My hands a quick little wash here. A stupid simple dish to make, guys. Again, we're using a lot of ingredients that we already have in the house. And in the case of bread pudding, trying to take advantage of all that product that kind of just goes bad sitting on your shelves all the time. Obviously, don't use moldy bread. That would be a little funky, but if you have any dry hamburger buns, obviously, preferably without sesame seeds. If you have any brioche laying around, anything that has like a high fat content bread turns into beautiful, beautiful bread pudding. But you can use any kind of bread, honestly. Just go through that bread pantry of bread that's been sitting there for 2 weeks that, oh, I'm never actually going to use this. Cut it up, soak it in some sugar, cream, eggs, and you're going to end up with a delicious dessert. The other cool thing about bread pudding, go ahead and raise that so we can talk, so I can actually talk to you guys, not just my neck. I highly recommend also making savory bread puddings. Omit the sugar from this recipe. Add in a little bit of salt. Maybe you can do some bacon leeks. You end up with a pretty delicious savory bread pudding. I've sold quite a few of those over the years at various different restaurants. Definitely, I have done a potato bacon leek bread pudding before. Absolutely delicious. You just make sure you get some cooked potatoes in there and let them cook the rest of the way. Like I said, bacon works really well. Sausage works really well. Turn it into an actual breakfast. You can throw bacon, sausage, honestly throw some scrambled eggs on top and it's going to be delicious. Well, you're broken then, Joe. I don't know. Welcome, though. We've been talking all about you and your French toast cravings. We will not be making French toast during the stream. We are making the makings of French toast, but we're getting there. We have our lovely lemon blueberry bread pudding about to go in the oven here. That will turn into French toast shortly. It looks pretty good. Just taking a look at our custard that's kind of still in there. It's mostly been absorbed, so that's great. We want it to be kind of on the dry side. Not your mom. Anybody but that. That's going to go in the oven for about an hour and turn into some delicious, delicious stuff here, hopefully, by the end of that. Okay. Now for the fun part. I am not a pastry chef, guys. Bread pudding is pretty... That's where I go. I have done a lot of pastry in my days. I hate doing pastry. But here I am, because you guys voted on it. But we're going to keep it very, very, very simple today, but also something that you guys can actually use at home. We are going to be making cream puffs. Yeah, lots and lots of fun with the cream puffs. Let me pull up my recipe here. I haven't made cream puffs in years. How are we doing, Senor Rainbow? Good to see you, my friend. Okay. We need to get all of our ingredients together here. So the first thing we're going to be doing for our cream puffs is we need to do our pâte à choux, which is basically our dough for our cream puffs. I guess I should actually remember to put on an apron here. The idea was I was going to wear a chef jacket like I always do and all that stuff, but I have no idea where my chef jackets are outside of my work ones. And you are not going to get me to wear a Cheesecake Factory chef jacket on a not day. On a day I am not working, because Lord, I wear them enough. So cream puffs, they're little, it's hard to describe. They're essentially a cream-filled bun. You end up getting basically like these little balls that are super fluffy, light. They end up being hollow with the way the dough is made. And you pipe them onto your sheet tray and bake them, and they fluff up, end up in hollow, and then you fill them with either pastry cream or whipped cream or whatever you kind of feel like. I've seen them filled with zabayon, which is also absolutely delicious. I'm not making zabayon today because no. First thing we need to do, I'm going to mise out all of our ingredients. So we're going to make a 2-time of this, I believe, today. 2-time of my recipe. So generally, if you're making cream puffs, you can either use water or you can use milk. We're going to use a little bit of a combination today. Normally, you'd go for a 1-timer recipe of this, you'd use 1 cup of water. We're going to make it 2 times, so we're going to use 1 cup of water and 1 cup of milk. Just to kind of balance it out. It should be delicious. And then work our way from there. We've already got a little heavy cream still stuck to the bottom of this measuring cup, so it's going to be perfect for what we're doing here. Then, where does the wife have the milk hiding? Right there. Beautiful. Perfect. Whew. Okay. There's our milk set aside. Milk and water. Next, we're going to do 12 tablespoons of cold butter. Preferably in a bowl that isn't covered in my dog's hair, because I don't know how it is, but no matter where I go in this house, it's covered in my dog's hair. Everywhere. Haven't figured it out. Yeah. Let us see here. So 6 tablespoons, 12 tablespoons of cold butter, right? Unsalted. Yes, yes, yes. There's my butter. Generally, when it comes to anything that's like a French culinary or even baking, anything French, how about that? Main ingredients you're going to be looking at are cream, butter, eggs. Some combination. It always works out that way. 1 stick of butter is 8 tablespoons, so we're going to do a stick and a half. Beautiful. Yeah. Nice and easy stuff here. Really realizing my garbage can is all the way on the other side of the room, and it's probably not my best choice today, but it's working. We're going to make it work. Yeah. Hair everywhere. Between my wife, my daughter, and the dog, hair is everywhere. I'm going to cut our butter into nice little cubes. Guess I can lower this back down so you guys can see. Again, I apologize for the weird camera setup, but it's been a adventure today, just getting what I got set up today. I went to set up all my cameras and stuff last night before I went to bed, so I'd be ready this morning, and then I remembered my wife loaned out a bunch of her camera supplies that I usually use for stream setup, so I had to improvise a little bit. So we had some fun trying to figure that out this morning. Put our butter into our bowl over here. Okay. Again, this is one of those recipes as well that you could get away without putting sugar in if you really wanted to go that way. You can make it savory. We are going to make these sweet because my daughter and my wife would kill me if they weren't. Yeah. So in this case, we're going to go with nice little 4 teaspoons of granulated sugar. Add that to our collection of milk and water there. Where did I put my teaspoons? Oh, lordy lord. Nope. There they are. But generally, when it comes to a lot of pastry, you can get away with making either it's savory or sweet. I mean, essentially, so puff pastry is a pretty common thing we see in French cooking and in pastry, all that stuff. But the thing is, if you don't put sugar in puff pastry, it's essentially a croissant dough. It's a little bit of everything. Everything just kind of folds back on itself, and you can kind of use your recipes. Once you know kind of a couple recipes, you know a lot of recipes. But we're getting there. Lots and lots of fun. I'm getting all kinds of weird pings today. I don't like it. With this one, this is a kind of a weirder dough as well. It's not a dough that you kind of work with your hands as much. It's more of a... We're going to be piping this, if that makes any sense. It's kind of weird. You'll kind of see as we go along here. It is kind of a weird process. I need my salt as well here. Just a little bit of salt in here. Like for this recipe, we are going to be doing just a single teaspoon for this entire thing in there. Beautiful. If you are using salted butter, don't add salt. I never use salted butter personally, but I know it is something that gets used pretty regularly by people. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab our saucepan. We're going to get it on the stove. Get that on to medium to high heat. So the next thing we're going to end up doing here is we're going to take our milk, our sugar, and our butter here. We're going to combine that on the stove. While that's kind of working that, we're going to be working on our eggs again. We have to do a thing called tempering today with this. Adjust this again. Oh, I'm sorry guys, cameras are a mess today. But yeah, we're going to melt all that together in our saucepan. And then we're going to add our flour. Mix that in, so you're kind of making almost, it's kind of a very, very weird roux. For you guys that are familiar with cooking, a roux is essentially what we use as a thickener. It's butter and flour, you cook it down, so and then you can then add that to your soups, your stocks, all that to make sauces essentially. This case, we've got the sugar in there obviously, and we've got the salt in there. Not what you would normally have in your roux, but once that comes down, we get that cooked and get that all combined, we're going to be adding eggs into it as well. So it's kind of a weird, kind of a weird thing. Yeah, and this is essentially called pâte à choux. You'll see it pretty regularly a lot in French cooking. You can see things like called profiteroles that are made out of this essentially, which are essentially a smaller cream puff, but they get used for a lot of desserts or even savory applications as well. But nothing too crazy. We do have to be a little precise with our pâte à choux. We have to make sure the temperature is right so we don't curdle our eggs, we don't curdle our milk. We don't want scrambled eggs. It'd be nasty. So we need to get our flour all meased out as well. So we have 4.5 ounces of all-purpose flour. So we're going 9 ounces. It's basically going to be 2 cups. So 2 cups of flour. Do a tier list on pastries. Sure. There's a lot of pastries out there, but we can definitely start doing a tier list. Realize that I hate doing pastries, so they're all bottom tier for me, but okay. Pan is nice and hot. In there. I may need to find a bigger saucepan for this because I don't think I'm going to fit everything I need in there. I'm going to go ahead and transfer that into a bigger pan almost immediately. I was hoping I could get away using a small pan there, but I'm never that lucky. Okay. So that's going to melt down. We essentially just want that to get to almost to a boil, honestly. With us using the water in there, we can get away with not having to bring it to a full boil. But essentially, we're going to get that up, get it so it's completely boiled. We want it to come to a boil. Take it off the heat, add our flour, and then it's kind of weird. We're going to then add it back on the heat, let it cook a little bit so that kind of breaks down some of the proteins and all that in your flour. Get all the lumps out of that, and then take it off this heat, and we're going to get our eggs added in there. Ideally, we'd use our KitchenAid mixer to get our eggs mixed in there, but we're going to do it by hand today because I don't want to get the KitchenAid way over here, and it's way over there, and it sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, I know. So we're going to get that all mixing up, doing its thing, get that up to a boil. Melt all that butter. Essentially, we're melting the butter. That's the main thing we want to do in this process, is get the butter melted and then make sure we get no lumps in there. How are we doing, Chill Factor and Pixie Dust? Always a pleasure to see you, my friends. Welcome to me doing horrible, horrible pastry stuff. We're just kind of making a mess of this. A very, very impromptu cooking stream. I was sitting there yesterday realizing, you know what? I've got 2 hours while the kid's in school. We have to take advantage of it. This is a one-piece shirt. I mean, probably see a little better on the backside since there's no apron, but one of the Christmas presents from the wife. We even got little Sanji over there. So, decided it was a good alternative to a chef jacket today. Made some duck leg confit and some rainbow carrots yesterday. That sounds delicious. I've been craving duck again. I have not had a chance to cook it recently, but I need to. I definitely need to get some duck back in my life here soon. Okay. Almost up to a simmer on our mixture of milk and butter. So once that gets all done, we'll take that off and get the flour added in there. Duck is expensive. Everything's expensive these days. It's the first. I don't go grocery shopping very often because I don't have the time generally with my schedule. I bought eggs for the first time in a long time. we're on a break. Ho, 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 ho. Okay, guys, welcome back. Bad time for the ad break. I didn't even see that was about to go on there. Yeah, so I was saying, I went grocery shopping for the first time, bought eggs, and 5 dozen or 5 something dollars for an 18 count of eggs is getting kind of crazy. But we're here. Duck pate. I love duck. It's one of my favorite things. Unfortunately, as you guys are saying, it is super expensive, which is very unfortunate. So we got our flour, egg, not egg. There's no eggs in this yet. Don't add your eggs in this point because you will get scrambled eggs. Got our flour. We've got our milk, butter, sugar, and salt in here. We're just gonna get this. We're gonna get this back on a high heat. We want to get it up to about 175 degrees just to kind of break down that flour. Always make sure you have your biotherm with you so you can temp everything. We're just going to make sure we get all these lumps out of this as well. We'll say this dough is looking a little thinner than it should be, so I'm a little concerned that my recipe is not accurate here. Did 6 tablespoons, 12 tablespoons, 2 cups. Did 2 cups of flour. That's odd. This is definitely not a dough like it should be. So right now, we are making pâte de choux. So we're making cream puffs. You go to a lower temp on that heat. We're just trying to make this nice, thick dough right now. We've got bread pudding already in the oven as well. We are making a muffin, a lemon blueberry muffin bread pudding. So that is always fun. Thank you for the follow, Darla Yeo. Always a pleasure to have new people join in the streams. Glad to have you guys here. So as for this, we're going to try to just work out all the lumps in this so that we don't get lumpy, nasty food in our cream puffs. Just work out all the lumps in the flour. We are looking a little thin. I don't like how thin this is looking. This is supposed to almost kind of form into a dough. So I need to add a little bit more flour in here to make sure we're thickening it up. Because this definitely is a little too thin for what we're looking right now. Because, yeah. I don't know where I went wrong with that, though. Normally, like I said, I haven't made pastry work in many years. So we're figuring it out and kind of a trial and error thing, but yeah. So I think we're going to increase our flour a little bit here so we get kind of that dough consistency we're looking for. We are a little bit on a time crunch today. Like I said, I only have 2 hours allocated for this stream because I got to pick the kid up after this. So we're going to try to make this happen. I don't think we'll have too much of an issue. We got started a few minutes late because, of course, school started a few minutes late today. Go figure. Yeah, that's my daughter. Oh yeah. There we go. Getting a little more dough-like this time. Just want to get this nice and hot. Get it up to about 175 degrees internal temperature. Well, again, like I said, always make sure you have a thermometer with you. Obviously, it was Mother's Day here in the United States just this last weekend. So, of course, we have all the Mother's Day art my daughter brought home from school, so yeah. There we go. That's forming a beautiful dough now. Oh. And of course, we had to make sure we get a little bit of libations going today. I'm drinking a lovely blonde ale with rice, milk, sugar, cinnamon, and coffee. It's delicious. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I would definitely agree that that'd be fun to do. The amount of art my daughter comes home with is incredibly crazy, but how's work for you? Well, chill factor. We just went through like I was saying, last weekend was Mother's Day. Busiest weekend of the year for us. All Cheesecake Factories, that is the busiest. Kind of insane, especially since it coincided with the fact that we had Boise State University's graduation the same weekend. So it was fun. Is it hard cooking for myself? I was thinking there last night. I was making dinner for my wife last night. Something simple. We just did some classic French dip sandwiches. Super easy. And I'm like, this is the first time I've cooked at home in months. Generally, depending on what my schedule is, I'm either getting home at 1 to 2 a.m., so I don't cook after work, and I don't really like cooking before work, or I get off at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and at that point I just bring some food home from work and eat it. It's kind of a weird combination. I am a kitchen manager here at the Cheesecake Factory here in Boise. Fun place to work. Love working there. Exhausting. Love their anniversary cheesecake. Oh, ooh, I got bad news for you, Pixie Dust. As of February, the 30th anniversary cheesecake is gone. Yeah, it left this recently, which I'm assuming, I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm assuming that's because we're probably going to get a 35th anniversary cheesecake coming soon. How do you deal with that big-ass menu? All 253 items on the menu. Oh, yeah, it's fun. I'm gonna get this back up on the stove here for just a little bit longer to cook out some of that. Get it going. It's scary, and what most people don't realize with Cheesecake Factory is that is a fully scratch menu. Everything on that menu essentially is made in that restaurant. It is insane. Just like our sauce, so I get to write our prep list in the morning whenever I'm opening, and just our sauce list is 4 pages of sauces that our one prep cook is making every day. It is chaos. But again, people don't realize we are a scratch kitchen. The only thing that we basically have in our freezer at the Cheesecake Factory are our cheesecakes and bread. 2 most popular things at the Cheesecake Factory, the cheesecake and the bread, but we can't obviously make those in-house. Other than that, there's just very little stuff in the freezer. It's all made. None of it comes in pre-made at all. All of our appetizers are made every day. It is crazy. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I started working there, but I definitely love it. Oh yeah, that wheat bread is. Oh, it's good. I find myself snacking on it pretty constantly. Even now, I've been there a year and a half, constantly still eating it, dipping it in our soup, dipping it in our chowders when we have that. But yeah, that's the hard part about Cheesecake Factory is figuring out what you want to eat when there's so many options. But I've watched interviews of our owner of Cheesecake Factory, and the reasons why so many items are on the menu is entirely because he didn't know any better when he started opening, and he opened it in LA 40 something years ago. Yeah, and he kind of got to the point where he really can't take anything off without like alienating a bunch of people. But considering how many items are on our menu, we still find a way to make it all from scratch, and it's kind of surprising. And unlike a lot of places where you're reusing the same sauce like 4 different places, for the most part, we have a lot of sauces and items on our menu that only get used in one spot. Exactly. You got it, Chill Factor. So like every 6 months, Cheesecake Factories do a new menu rollout where we generally add a new bunch of items, take off a few items, and kind of see how things go. 99% of the time, I was like, I haven't sold this item for 6 months in my restaurant. As soon as I take it off, that was my favorite thing. I want a free slice of cheesecake. Mm-hmm. Never fails. Okay. We've got our beautiful patasciutto here. Nice and clumpy. No, not clumpy. Not lumpy. Not clumpy. Nice and smooth and dough-like. Okay, so now we just need to add our eggs, which that's where things get fun. Again, something like this, adding the eggs into this would be best in a stand mixer. But again, I don't feel like getting mine. So we're looking for 145 degrees on this dough now, whilst we add our eggs. If we get too much hotter than that, we're going to curdle our eggs. I'm going to turn that stove off before I burn somebody. Where did I put the thermometer? I'm special today, guys. There we are. My daughter decided she wanted to wake up super early, and that doesn't usually end well for me. We're a little cool on this. We need to add this back on the stove for just a second. We're only at 135 degrees. We want to make sure we get it up to that 145 so the eggs do actually cook enough. But obviously, we don't want scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs do not usually work well in French cooking. There we go. A little extra heat on that. Beautiful. Okay. We're going to just do this nice and easy. We're going to add one egg at a time, incorporate it into the dough. We are going with just some super, super simple cream puffs today, Chill Factor. I've made my fair share of profiteroles in my life. Pretty similar to, I guess, a cream puff, but usually a little smaller. Profiteroles used to be my go-to appetizer for a lot of like menus and stuff, just because they're so easy to make happen. Get a profiterole and put some mousse or something in there, and all of a sudden you have an easy appetizer. And in the life of fine dining and private golf clubs, you had to be able to bust out an easy appetizer pretty quickly a lot of times. Of course, I used to just make it almost entirely in a food processor there, but we don't got the resources for that here. We're just working one egg at a time into our dough here. And again, it's not your traditional dough. Definitely nowhere close to a traditional dough. Kind of a weird one if you're honest. Take a look at it as we kind of go here. But like I said earlier, this dough is essentially going to get piped, which makes things definitely interesting. Okay. Yeah. So we're only 3 eggs in. We've got this lovely kind of, it's hard to see here, guys, but we've got almost a glue-like texture, which is kind of not the most appetizing thing to say, but it's going to be thick enough so it doesn't fall apart and just run off your plate, but thin enough that you can pipe it. Kind of a weird combination there. We're at 10:30 right now. Beautiful. Our bread pudding has been in the oven about 40 minutes at this point. Yeah, I don't want to know. Someday I'll have to look up, like, there's got to be a history of pas de choux. Like, how did you guys figure out that if you make this dough in this really weird way and cook it the specific way, that it does this? The French, you know? Like, the history of cooking is such a weird thing to kind of look about, and like how were recipes developed. What a weird one. Okay. Got 1. So 2 more eggs to add into the mixture, and then we've got them all worked in there. Do I watch Max Miller on YouTube? I do not. I'm not actually familiar at all. Unfortunately, my free time is usually dedicated to watching Bluey with my daughter. Which, you could do a lot worse than Bluey, but yeah, I don't get a lot of me time to just sit down and watch good stuff. But okay, beautiful. That's 2 eggs mixed in here. Get that all beautiful. Okay. Perfect. Looks still even, might honestly be a little too thin still. We'll find out. Yeah. Yeah. I have unfortunately become a bit of a Bluey aficionado. I definitely prefer that over a lot of the other shows that my daughter watches. So I can't complain too much. But it still hurts when it's on play for as long as it is. I'm just gonna add just a titch of flour in this to thicken it up just slightly. Pastry's weird. We're adding this little bit of flour. Probably is going to come back and bite me in the ass. But you know what? I'm not a pastry chef. I try not to be a pastry chef. I've had to be a pastry chef far, Far too long. The longer you watch, the hotter chili gets. Oh God. Oh. Yeah, I can see that. that show. Okay. I haven't made pot au choux in a while. This looks still a little thin, but I think we can work on it. We're gonna find out. Okay, beautiful. Nice thing about pot au choux is you don't really have to use it right at the beginning here. Theoretically, this could hold for a couple hours before we would use it. We're not going to wait a couple hours, but I am going to kind of wait a couple minutes to make sure that our bread pudding is out of the oven before I try to pipe those on there. So while we're waiting on that, I'm going to get this pot au choux transferred into a different container because I do not have a lot of sauce pots, I'm realizing. Again, preferably one that's not covered in dog hair. The options are not great on that around here, but transfer this into this bowl right here. Probably made a little too much dough. Probably could have got away with the one time, but you know what? Oh well. My wife and daughter are going to be eating cream puffs all night tonight once they get home. Okay. Beautiful. Set that off to the side for a little bit until we go to pipe it. Yeah, I haven't figured out. Pot au choux is such a weird one, but again, yeah, a little bit of letting it sit usually helps. I try not to understand the science behind it. I'm sure there's some weird science behind it. Yeah, and if there's one thing I've learned over the years, Alton Brown is really never wrong. I had the pleasure of getting to meet him a few times many years ago, back in my heyday of traveling chef, but not recently. But highly recommend Alton Brown if you guys ever have any culinary questions. This guy's a genius. How did my pastry bags end up? Like I said, my daughter woke up at a really weird time this morning. Came downstairs and started messing around my kitchen. So I keep finding things in weird spots. Really, really cool guy. Highly recommend it. I did a charity cooking show with him many years ago. He showed up as basically a celebrity guest, chef, judge combination. That would have been back in 2013. Jeez. Met him. I met Gordon Ramsay, Guy Fieri. Who's the other one? God, I can't remember anymore. I met a lot of celebrity chefs all at that event, and it was a pretty cool event to kind of learn and all that fun stuff. Got to work with Gordon a few times after that too, and that was amazing. Now, I'm just a little. Oh, there was an ad break. Didn't realize. Guy Fieri's an interesting character. Don't recommend him as much. Cool guy on camera. Kind of a weird guy in person, but yeah, Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay and Alton Brown. Those are the two you want to... most people don't realize just, like, how good of a chef Gordon Ramsay is for, like, a television chef. You kind of get that, oh, he's just on TV. He can't be that good of a chef. Or a lot of times, because a lot of times all the chefs that end up on cooking shows and stuff, they're all right, but they're more there for their personality than for their, like, cooking ability. Yeah, they can cook, but most times, compared to, like, a Michelin star chef. Gordon, on the other hand, Gordon's good. Gordon has Michelin stars, so... I will say, compared to his persona on TV, Gordon is a really, really nice guy. Highly recommend him. Hell's Kitchen specifically is just like an entirely, like... It's all an act. Morimoto. I've got some stories on Morimoto. He opened a restaurant up in Bellevue, Washington. Oh, what was that? Right before COVID. I gotta go up there and meet him and work with him a few times. Can't really see here. I've got a Morimoto chef knife, actually. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man. Other Iron Chefs, Mario Batali. He has a restaurant in Seattle. Kind of a... I will be in that area in July for a My Chemical Romance concert. Fair. Highly recommend Morimoto's restaurant. Delicious food. The other cool thing is, I actually knew there was a My Chemical Romance concert there in Seattle. One of our managers at the Cheesecake Factory here in Boise is going to that. So, small world. Big concert. Yeah, Mario Batali got canceled. There were some issues there. His family has many restaurants and stuff around Seattle area. His family owns a deli. But, yeah. Very, very weird one. Never really got to work with him too much, but his brother, I believe, he's like a talent acquisition person in Seattle, so I ran into him a few times and got to deal with that. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at this bread pudding and see what it's looking like about 45 minutes in. It should be about an hour to cook, generally. We're looking pretty delicious in here. Still a little soft, but we are getting there. Beautiful. I think 10 more minutes or so on the bread pudding and we should be in a good spot here. Let's see if I can tilt this towards the camera without burning myself. I've got this beautiful, beautiful stuff going on here. Jose Garces, yeah. Oh, yeah. Have not heard of it. I am a fan of Jose Garces, though. There's no coconut, luckily, in this bread pudding, Pixie Dust. This is I took lemon blueberry muffins and turned them into a bread pudding. Because why not? I love turning pretty much any kind of bread I've got kind of laying around into bread pudding. It works delicious. It's super simple. And later tonight, I'm going to slice it up and I'm going to batter it and turn it into bread pudding French toast, because yes. Okay. Doo-ba-doo-boo-boo. Important to not let a skin form on the pot of choux. Interesting. Leftover muffins are a rare thing. Yeah, it depends. If my wife goes to Costco, somehow, some way, we always only end up with eating like 3 out of the 6 muffins in a package. Don't know how it works, but oh man. I would say I think my pâte is a little thinner than it's supposed to be, but we will make it work. It's gonna be delicious either way. Okay. Pop that in a piping bag in a little bit and let it do its thing. Now, the fun part is I gotta look up my pastry cream recipe, because now you're gonna really watch me struggle. Where'd my pastry cream go? Hey, they're gonna be delicious, chill factor. They are going to be delicious. Where is my mouse? There's my mouse. Multiple monitors are a fun thing when the monitor changed locations from where it normally is. Pastry cream, where'd it go? Oh boy. There it is. Luckily, pastry cream is pretty easy as well. It's got actually kind of a similar process to our dough we just made, which is kind of hilarious today. It's all about tempering your eggs, so that way you don't end up with scrambled eggs. So, again, for some reason, a lot of these recipes always ask for like whole milk or things like that. I'm a heavy cream guy. That's my favorite. I like my heavy cream because it's delicious. So, we're going to start with 2 cups of heavy cream. Beautiful. Generally, using a vanilla bean here would also be a really good idea, but I don't want to find vanilla beans. I can imagine how expensive vanilla beans are probably about to get, considering how expensive they were before all this mess. But yeah, so we're just gonna get our milk, cream in this case, get it into our sauce pot here. Generally, you can substitute 1 vanilla bean for about, if I remember right, it's half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Preferably not the imitation stuff. There we go. Vanilla paste is fantastic. I haven't used that in quite a while, but I want to say it's Nielsen Massey's bourbon vanilla paste. Highly recommend as a substitute. Great stuff. Can be expensive. I used to get literally 2-quart containers of it, which was $130 at the time. But yeah, I had to do far too much pastry for what I had to do as a sous chef at the time. Luckily with Cheesecake Factory, there is no pastry work whatsoever. I really wish they could open up like the actual factory at the Cheesecake Factory to show how the cheesecakes are made in that building. It is insane. The amount of cheesecakes that come out of our actual Cheesecake Factory. Yikes. It is mind-numbing how much. Okay. Let us see here. Cornstarch, God, I haven't read this recipe in years. Okay. I'm gonna get our heavy cream brought up to a light simmer. And while that is simmering, we are going to get yeah, just mostly consistency. Creme anglaise tends to be a little thinner if I recall, but they're very, very similar processes. In fact, you're basically tempering your eggs in your cream and all that good stuff all the same way. I haven't looked at creme. Here, let me pull up my creme anglaise recipe and we'll take a look. See if I find my mouse here. Ooh. We are looking pretty good. The bread pudding just came out. Or I put it back in for a couple seconds. Let's take a look here. So I've collected a lot of recipes over the years for all these different things and kind of saved them in places so I have quick access sort of to them. Why is my creme anglaise recipe not working though? Generally, my go-to for almost all pastry recipes I pulled off of Epicurious many years ago. And there tend to be pretty good quality recipes. Oh, that's why. Apparently Epicurious updated and now you can't, it's not free recipes anymore. Interesting. I have to pull those later. Yeah, you're right. Basically, you're right, chill factor. You're looking at just a kind of a thinner consistency for your creme anglaise. Yeah. This is what it looks like. We're going to pull our bread pudding out now. Looks absolutely delicious. Some beautiful color on top. Leave you some. Shouldn't you be working? Oh. There we go. We've got this beautiful bread pudding. Like I said, later tonight I'm going to slice this and make some French toast. It's going to be delicious. My wife is going to have a great time. Like I said earlier, that is lemon blueberry bread pudding made out of some day-old muffins, which not bad at all. Okay, back to my pastry cream. Where did we go? So we're gonna need half a cup of lovely granulated sugar. We're gonna need to do this in a metal bowl, preferably. Which, where'd my metal bowl go? No. Metal bowl's not allowed today. We have to do a glass bowl. It'll work. You need to get this set up in a heat-proof bowl because we are going to be heating this up a little bit. If I recall, right? Stir together cornstarch, blah, blah, blah. No? No, we are not putting this on heat, are we? No, we're not. Sorry guys, I haven't looked at these recipes in quite a while, and it's kind of a very impromptu stream here. Yeah, we're not putting the bowl on heat. Get a photo box. I've thought about it. Fortunately, my wife has all her camera equipment at her dad's house right now. No. That's okay. I do have a little bit of... I've made a light box specifically for like pictures and so on and so forth for my Pokemon card collection. Because it's a lot easier to take pictures of things and to sell them if they're in a light box and you actually get all the colors and light all of them. So, but lots and lots of Pokemon card pictures. Okay. We're about to hit an ad break here in a couple seconds, so I'm not going to get too much further in here. We'll hit that ad break, and then we will continue on making our pastry cream after that ad break. But yeah, we'll be right back, guys, as soon as I can find my mouse. Okay, guys. Back after that little break there. We are going to start putting our pastry cream together here. It's always the challenge working in a home kitchen versus my professional kitchens, just remembering, oh yeah, I don't have this equipment always. I'm sitting here like, you know what would be really nice? Let's use that food processor. Let's use that. And like, oh wait, I'm at home. But we make do as much as possible. Okay, I need my salt. Fun part is also I leave a lot of my tools at work, so I'm realizing I probably should have brought those home to do this, but again, very, very impromptu cooking stream. I decided to do this yesterday, and I've been off to work the last couple of days, so yeah. We're making it work, though. Okay, got our salt. Cornstarch. Cornstarch. I'm catching things. Oh, Lord. Like I said, my daughter woke up early this morning and decided to rearrange the kitchen while we were all doing our stuff, while I was attempting to sleep. So I don't know where anything is a lot of places, a lot of times. Like, where is my cornstarch? That is a question. Aha! Ugh. Jeez. Everything is everywhere. Okay. We need lovely 3 tablespoons of cornstarch in this. Remember, guys, baking is an exact science. Yeah. That's why I definitely am not a pastry chef. Because I don't like being exact. Yeah, Argo cornstarch is pretty much the standard pretty regularly. Don't really know too many other cornstarches out there, luckily, other than obviously you have your generic brands and so on and so forth. Got cornstarch all over my mouse. Okay. Okay, so we've got our sugar, salt, and cornstarch in a mixing bowl. We're going to mix in our egg yolks by hand. 4 large egg yolks. As soon as I find my whisk. Oh boy. I don't know where my good whisks are anymore, so I gotta use the cheap ones. I fit. Set this aside while we do some egg separating. I hate separating eggs, guys. One of my first days at one of the private golf courses I worked, I had to separate about 7 dozen eggs for the chocolate mousse we were making. Hated it. So again, somehow I ended up as the pastry chef, even though I hadn't done pastry since culinary school, but you know, somehow it always works. And after I made that first batch of chocolate mousse, I had to make it pretty much every day for the next month of December while we were doing all our holiday parties and so on and so forth. Because you make the best chocolate mousse. Guess what? We're adding that to the menu for the next month while we're in the holidays. Yeah. That's how it worked. I mean, 2 months later, I was promoted to sous chef. So at least, like, barely I did something right there, but man. Get our egg yolk. Make sure we're gonna go down a little bit here, guys. Basically gonna whisk our egg yolks and our sugar and our salt and our cornstarch all together here. Well, our egg yolks seem a little dry in this case, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. You ever suggest dishes based on how easy they are to make? Oh yeah, all of the time. Luckily, I don't have to do too much of that anymore. But back in my day, I tried to go with a lot, as simple as I could with a lot of stuff. It all depended on kind of the staff I was working with, or what time of year it was. If I have banquet after banquet after banquet after banquet, I'm going to do as simple as food as possible. So that way we can blow through it and not be there for 17, 18 hours. Usually still work, but as opposed to like the breweries I worked at, if I was putting a dessert or something on the menu, it was going to be stupid simple because I didn't have culinary trained people. I had a mom before that only had experience cooking at her house. So it all kind of depended to a certain degree. Luckily, most desserts are generally pretty simple. I eventually did get a pastry chef at the private golf course I worked at, and he was able to bust out a lot of things that I didn't want to deal with. But strawberries and cream easy, right? Yeah, exactly. Slice 6 pounds of strawberries with 3 gallons of cream. Oof. It's funny, chill factor. When I was in culinary school, first day of pastry class, our pastry chef was like, "Well, you're gonna learn how to make whipped cream today, guys. Congrats! You're gonna have so much fun. You're gonna whip a gallon of cream by hand. Good luck." Ow! It hurt. You don't realize how much a gallon of heavy cream is until you try to whip it. And that's so. Pretty much the entire day of first day of culinary school of that class was literally that. Not a ton of fun, but we survived. So right now what we're doing is we're tempering our eggs. We're adding this milk that had come up to a boil. I should say heavy cream. Never boil your milk. Only heavy cream. Heavy cream does not curdle. Milk will. That's why I like using heavy cream. Other than the fat content, it also makes it a lot more manageable to work with. Okay. That. What we did here was called tempering. In order to not scramble the eggs, basically, we slowly poured the hot milk into the eggs versus putting the eggs into our onto the stove directly. And then what we're going to do from here is we need to put this back on the stove and cook it and bring it up to just hot enough, basically, so it's going to thicken. If we cook it too hot, too fast, it will turn into scrambled eggs still. We want to avoid doing that. But pastry cream is pretty simple otherwise. Make sure I'm not missing anything stupid in this process. Yep. 5 minutes. Cook it till it's thickened. Pause, check the bubbles. Whisk. Yeah, beautiful. So we're going to turn our heat on over here, guys. Let's see if my camera can come with me, because I'm going to be over here for a few minutes. We're going to attempt. Sort of. Kind of. Yeah, good luck. We're over here. As this comes up, we're just going to let this whisk basically for the next 5 minutes or so. And again, I apologize for our camera situation today, guys. We're improvising a lot. As this comes up the temp, we'll get that going. I've got our oven set to 405 degrees for our pastry, for our pâte à choux when it does go in the oven here in a little bit. Which soon as we get this pastry cream done, we're going to get those pâte à choux piped and on a tray and into the oven here. Make sure here. Okay, I've got 4 minutes until ad starts. We can whisk away here a little bit and talk. If anybody has any questions, now would be a great time to ask them. Otherwise, I'm going to be sitting here stirring and trying not to destroy my pan. Where's my other whisk? There's my other whisk. Ugh. Whatever. We're having fun. Okay. Key to the pastry cream is we want to make sure we're constantly stirring so that way it does not get a chance to settle and scramble. But otherwise, pastry cream's pretty easy. It's extra delicious. But as you kind of get into the tempering process of all of this stuff, that's where a lot of French pastry starts getting a little funky and more difficult. But we're keeping it pretty simple today. So basically we're waiting these eggs to cook a little bit more, and that's going to be our thickening process. But also that cornstarch in here is also a big part of our cooking and our thickening agent in this. So this is what's going to be piped inside of our cream puffs. We want to make sure it gets nice and thick and delicious. So we'll be all good once this gets going. Again, this should take about 5 minutes to heat up. Let my stove get cold. Unfortunately, the process can take a little bit longer to get where we want it, but. And then I gotta see if I have my strainer still here in the building. I hope I do. We can strain our pastry cream through that and make sure none of those lumps, none of the eggs end up in there, hopefully. Okay, let that sit for just a second, get hot. Yeah, we're getting pretty close here, guys, to the fun part here. Let me check to see what our time is looking like. 11:07. Beautiful. I gotta pick up my daughter in basically exactly an hour, guys, so we're gonna make this happen. One way or another, we're gonna make this happen. We are definitely starting to get some thickening. I can kind of feel a little bit of sticking, just from that little bit of not stirring there. Get our pastry cream nice and stirred. Don't want scrambled eggs. No scrambled eggs, guys. This is gonna be one of those things as it chills too, it'll get better thickness as well. Will that work? That's a little better. We'll make that work. Woo! Just a couple seconds away from the stove there, guys. We got some pretty good thickening there. Take it off of our stove for a second. Nice. Whisk. Beautiful. Okay. So now we have, hopefully, some beautiful pastry cream. Here we go, guys. Got a little thick, but we're going to run it through our strainer here, and that will help a lot with any issues we have there, assuming I can find my strainer. No. I don't know where my strainer is right now, guys. I have a bad feeling I know exactly where my strainer is. It's not in the house right now, so we're going to have to make do. And it will be delicious either way. Beautiful. Need to get that transferred out of that bowl into another bowl here. So it stops the cooking process here. Did get a little lumpy, but I think we'll be fine. We can work out those lumps with a spatula. Open a pack? God. I'm watching you, Joe. Lord. What do we got? What packs do we have in this box? I haven't opened a Celebrations in a long time. We'll open a Celebrations pack. Cool thing about Celebrations was every card in the pack is holographic. Got a Cosmog. We've got a Yveltal, a Palkia, and a Zacian V. Also, the best part of them, there's only 4 cards in the pack. I win. We'll open another one here in a little bit. Okay. Where'd my whisk go? There we go. I'm just going to pop that into the freezer to chill it down a little bit so that we can pipe it hopefully somewhat soon. Okay, guys. Puns. It's always the puns. No matter who's in the stream, it's always the puns. Okay. I need sheet tray. Beautiful. I need some parchment paper. I need a piping bag. I didn't mention, very impromptu stream. Piping bags were a challenge last night. But we made it work. We made it work. Oh yeah, okay. Our patachoux actually we were lucky. It thickened up a little bit as we were kind of sitting here. It's not just pouring right out the end of the pastry bag mostly. It is starting to come out a little bit, but not too bad. Okay. What we're going to do essentially here, we're just going to come over here. We're going to take a little bit of our patachoux dough. We're going to put it under the corners of our parchment paper, just to kind of hold our parchment paper down. Look at that. Okay. Then attempt to do this so I can actually see, kind of see what we're doing here a little bit. What is that? Oh, vanilla. Okay. We're just going to pipe little dollops here. They're holding up decently. Not amazing, but they're going to hold up a bit. Basically edible glue. I wouldn't recommend eating this in this form, but essentially glue. All these piping bags suck. We're gonna make a mess today, guys. Don't tell my wife. Okay, we gotta find a better way to do this. Yeah, unfortunately, my pâte is definitely a little on the thinner side. Very similar to macarons. I almost considered making macarons. I changed my mind though. Because, no. What was I grabbing? Measuring cup. Where'd all my measuring cups go? Right there. Oh boy. Yeah, we're gonna end up with definitely some not the most tall cream puffs, but we're gonna get cream puffs of some sort. I am not that fancy. I have not made macarons since culinary school, and I hopefully will never make macarons again. Because, egad. Like, I went into... So, how this stream happened, I was like, okay, you know what? I feel like cooking tomorrow. And I was like, trying to take some ideas of what people wanted to cook, and then somebody in my Discord was like, you should bake a cake, Gnome. I'm like, I don't want to bake a cake. And then it's like, okay, I guess I'm doing pastry. I put a poll up, and somehow dessert won the poll. It's like, you know what? Sure, we'll make this work somehow, some way. I am making a mess, guys. I apologize. Originally, I was planning on doing some savory applications today, but somehow, here we are. Yeah. We're going to put our very flat cream puffs into the oven. I am making a mess, guys. But we're having fun, right? Something like that? Fun? I hope we're having fun. Oh, I'm sure I didn't invent them, Chill Factor. I'm sure plenty of chefs over the years have made plenty of these. We're going to let those bake. I'm trying to remember. Let me take a look at my recipe here. They don't take that long to bake, if I recall. But they are definitely going to be kind of flat. So I don't know how well we're going to be able to pipe inside them, but we'll find out. Where is that last step? Why is there no last step in my recipe? Because my recipe is just for pâte, not for cream puffs. Fine. Well, we're going to experiment here, guys. We're going to find out how long it takes for our pâte to cook. Oh, yeah. This is going to be fun. The good news is we only made a slight mess. The bad news is we made a slight mess. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna be picking pâte dough off of the ceiling here later. Oh, lordy lord. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned I am not a pastry chef, guys, but here we are. Get the next piping bag nice and ready to go here. Ads will be starting in about a minute here. We'll take another small break and see how we're looking after that, but we're getting pretty close. Oh! I'm making a mess. We're having fun, though, I think. Hope we're having fun. As long as you guys are having fun, that's what matters, right? We're still smiling. Nobody's died yet. Thank you for the bits. Lordy lord. Um, we were going to do a couple other things here too. We're still gonna, I've got some nice bittersweet chocolate I'm going to probably melt down a little bit later and pop on top of these. And I'm also going to cut up some strawberries and add onto these hopeful cream puffs. Yeah, yeah, but oh boy. I mean, apparently ads were supposed to be going on, but apparently not. So, you know what? Works for me. You fixed it, Chill Factor. Somehow you fixed it. I'll take it. So we're just gonna keep an eye on these cookies. Definitely cookies. They are fluffing a little bit, so hopefully we get a good amount of fluff. I'm trying to remember. I'm hoping they are not like souffles, where every time you open the oven you kind of deflate them. But oh well. We're experimenting today. I really wish I knew where my strainer was, though, because I'm pretty sure my pastry cream got a little overcooked. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. And I know I've got a strainer. Ooh, let me take a quick look here, guys. You can hear my disembodied voice as I travel across the house looking for my culinary kit here. Ugh. Anywhere, it would be in this box. Maybe. Maybe. No. I tried. And this is why we don't do impromptu baking streams, because it requires me to know where all my stuff is. But we're not too bad. We can luckily just take our Mickey Mouse spatula, because of course. Yeah. That's how all my kitchen equipment here at home is Mickey Mouse themed half the time, I feel like. Okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. We are looking pretty good, actually, once I spatula it, not just whisk it. Yeah. Like I was saying, originally I was going to do something savory in this stream, but then they're like, oh, okay, we're making pastries. Today I was actually planning originally on doing some char siu bao, so barbecue pork rolls that are one of my favorite things to eat, but now I end up, yeah. Ended up doing this, which I'm having fun. That's what matters. But char siu bao are good memory for me. Walking through Pike Place Market, eating char siu bao. There's a little store there in Pike Place in Seattle that sells giant hambao that are filled with just most delicious pork. Highly recommend when you're in Seattle, stopping down there at Pike Place. Look for those Chill Factor. Highly recommend it. You can spend an entire day in Pike Place Market, honestly, but not the weirdest thing, but okay. Take a gander. Yeah, we're ending up with basically cream puff cookies here, guys, but they're gonna be delicious, and that's what matters. I used to go down to Pike Place all the time after culinary school before I'd go to work at the baseball stadium there in Seattle, and just walk through my chef jackets and get so many free samples, so many delicious things. It was great. The pierogi place is delicious as well. Pierogi. They are still there, I believe. I hope they are. I want to say when I first moved here to Boise, they were doing a pop-up where they were doing deliveries to different cities um, where they were taking pre-orders and then they would drive their truck over to whatever city and deliver at one location. You could pick up the pierogies. It was pretty cool. I almost got some because I miss pierogies so much, but delicious, delicious stuff. Then Market Spice there in Pike Place is one of my favorite places in the world. Just walking in and getting the smells and the everything. You can find pretty much every spice imaginable in that store, which I have quite a few of them currently in my kitchen still. But good place. I love Pike Place Market. It's kind of got a little crazy over the last couple years down there, but still not horrible. I did find out, though, the Cheesecake Factory in downtown Seattle is closing. Has closed, actually, which is unfortunate, but oh well. It actually burned down a few weeks ago, which is kind of crazy. And they're not going to be reopening it. I grew up in Seattle, or Tacoma, I should say. I've pretty much lived there my entire life until I moved out of there back right when the pandemic was kind of starting. We moved out of Tacoma, Seattle area. Steakhouse called the Brooklyn. I do not recall it. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about as well, Pixie, but I don't know. It's a weird one. Yeah. Seattle's a great place to visit. I would never live there again, I don't think. Although, who knows what happens. Cheesecake Factory will probably try to transfer me up there again eventually, but we'll see how things go. But yeah, the Cheesecake Factory was definitely a interesting spot. I don't recall the Brooklyn Steakhouse. My main time in Seattle was 2013 to 2017 is when I was kind of doing all my stuff through there. I worked for Wolfgang Puck at the time and was kind of running around to all his different restaurants, helping pretty much everywhere else. Yeah, there's definitely a day where I will not be working in Boise again, which I'm okay with. The only reason we moved to Boise is for my wife's family originally, and yeah, they're lovely people. But eventually I will be an executive kitchen manager at a cheesecake factory of my own, so we'll see how that goes. But we're getting there. We just have to move up the corporate ladder first and see how that goes, but we're getting there. Okay, we are at 11:26 right now. Hi. So the cows were at the property next to where my in-laws were living. We were living with my in-laws, that was an adventure on its own. So thankfully, no. We now live about half an hour from them. Pretty much in Boise, as opposed to the middle of nowhere. My daughter still loves going out to her grandparents' house and seeing the cows and the goats and all the other animals out there, but me, not so much. Ugh. And that's, I guess, one of the perks of my schedule is I don't really get to go out there very often. Woo! A wet spot in my towel. So our cream puffs did not cream puff very much here, guys. I think our dough just ended up a little too thin. One of my job. See, that's what I'm used to as an executive chef. But with Cheesecake Factory, we don't really get too much desk time because luckily we have. Every Cheesecake Factory has 4 to 5 kitchen managers in the building. Yeah, So we ended up with some funky cookies here, guys. They are hollow, so that's good. But some of these will work actually decently, but not as your like traditional cream puff. We definitely got our batter a little too thin. But at least the cool thing about Cheesecake Factory is we keep our managers pretty well developed so that they're always trying to be on the line as much as possible, teaching and improving everybody. We're just going to poke our thermometer in each one of them, just get a little air hole for the moisture inside these to escape. Obviously, some of them are a little flat, like that guy is not very cream puffish, but I think I need to amend this recipe. I think part of it is, so this recipe I used in Seattle, which sea level, or here in Boise we're about 3,000 feet, so I need to adjust a little bit, I believe, for that, which will take a couple minor tweaks, but for sure when I was doing this recipe, they were not anywhere close to it. The dough was not as thick as it should have been. It could have been needed to be cooked a little bit longer, potentially. But I think our main thing is altitude and flour, potentially, here. But, like, some of them got decent height, and they are empty and hollow, which is good, but we are going to pop these. So ideally, too, was once they are done cooking, we try to leave them in the oven so they can stay hot and slowly cool down and let the steam escape them. In this case, we're not going to be able to too much, but we definitely need to adjust the recipe for our next go-around on these. But they still be pretty delicious. We definitely got some more heat on the bottom before we got the top as well, which is a little concerning. So that could also be part of my oven issues, but cousin's daughter was a hostess at the Cheesecake Factory before she quit because one of the managers was creepy and kept trying to hit on her. That is unfortunately something that I see far too often. But yeah. That's sort of where I kind of was too for a while. I love to cook. Now that I cook so much, it's hard to cook at home and enjoy doing this as much because it's like, okay, I just worked a 12-hour a day. Do I want to go home and cook or anything? And that's why some of these cooking streams are a little difficult sometimes, is not only am I trying to work around my daughter's school schedule or whatever, schedules in general, it's, man, do I want to be cooking on my days off? But I love to cook, and turning it into my job was a great move for my life and everything, and I love doing it. It gets a little tired. A couple years ago, before Cheesecake Factory came calling, I was actually almost 2 feet out the door from going back into culinary. I was working on doing some computer science degree stuff and getting ready to do that, and then Cheesecake called. It was like, when Cheesecake calls, you can't say no. They'll find you. But fair, very fair, Chill Factor. Yeah, like, I love cooking, but it's just such a complicated thing when you're cooking already for a living. You're cooking just to stay alive at home versus actually enjoying the cooking process. Especially now that, if you could see my whole kitchen and what it looks like just in a little bit I've done today, yeah, the cleanup portion is going to be fun. But we'll get there. Okay. Well, unfortunately, our cream puffs did not turn out the most beautiful here, guys. But ideally here, I'm going to find my other pastry bag. I'm going to find my pastry cream here. Get a spoon. We're going to pick a couple of our better looking ones right here. I mean, they should definitely taste fine. They just don't look the most ideal. We poked our little holes in there with our thermometer so they could get some of the steam to escape. Ideally, we would wait for these to cool a little bit more before we would fill them, but we're running a little low on time. So we got our pastry cream here. We're just going to pipe right directly into our... well, that was something. The bottoms are a little thin on our pastries. So not only did it come out of the top, we got a bit of a hole in there. So the bottoms are a little thin. But yeah, guys, that's something. Well, that has been Missing Gnome's attempt at making cream puffs, guys. Well, the top works. They taste good. Yeah. I think though the bottoms ended up overcooking, so they're just like super fragile. I can't hold any weight. So that's what happened on that one. Is just the bottom just completely gave out on it. I will say they are delicious. Yeah, I could kind of slice them in half and turn them into like the actual cakes and so on, so or sandwiches more than the pipe inside. But I don't know. It tastes good, but man, let's see here. Let's try take 2 here. Unfortunately, our bottom of our cream puff got a little too overcooked. But look at that. We have a cream puff! Woo! Still delicious. I mean, the pastry cream's still a little warm, guys, but that is what it is. And I think that's the thing I've always kind of said, guys. When it comes to pastry work for myself, I know how to make it. It's just going to look ugly. But, lordy, lordy, lord. And I will say, it tastes great. It just looks horrible. I've told all my bosses that in the past whenever they have me do pastry work is like, I will make whatever you want me to make. Somebody else is going to have to either plate it or decorate it. Like, oh man. Ever since I had to do my first wedding cake years and years and years ago. I mean, at least like, I can make a plate look pretty for culinary, like non-pastry stuff. Easy. Pastry? Nope, not doing it. Not anymore. Above my pay grade. That's why we have pastry chefs for. But fantastic. We're finishing right up here on time, guys. We got to cut it a little close here at the end. I need to get the kitchen put back together here in a couple minutes and go pick up my daughter. It has been lovely chatting with you guys. Thank you for being here on this culinary adventure of oof. God damn it, ads. Well, bad time for an ad break. They didn't even give me any notice on that, but I will definitely let you guys know how the bread pudding tastes. I'm excited here. It's cold enough where I can actually pick it up here now. Let's see here. It's a little soft still, but it's going to be delicious. It's going to be hard to turn that into French toast, but we'll make it happen. There's always a way. Where there's a gnome, there's a way. But again, thank you all for being here today, watching this chaos. And hopefully, we'll have another cooking stream. Hopefully a little sooner here. Of course, the ad break just ended. It always works out that way. So we got some decent looking bread pudding here. It's gonna be a bit of a pain to try to turn this into French toast. It's still a little soft, but it's also because it's warm. But we got some pretty good looking stuff going on here. Very crumbly though. Once that chills down and that custard sets a little bit more, it should turn out to some beautiful French toast. But even if it doesn't, I still have lemon blueberry bread pudding to eat for dinner. But with that all being said, guys, I gotta pick up my daughter. So it has been a pleasure. We're going to talk to you guys again, hopefully soon. I want to do more cooking streams. It'll be a little bit probably before the next one. Ideally, my daughter starts kindergarten in August. Once kindergarten kind of gets going, we'll have a little bit more free time to hopefully do these, where I'm not trying to sneak in a 2-hour stream in a 2.5-hour window. But hopefully we'll see you guys again next time. And that has been Missy Gnome Cooks Horrible Things. Thanks, guys. See you next time.